everyone, it's my first video, and in this video I'm going to be making a lemon cake, or at least I'm going to be trying to. Now the cake didn't turn out so great for me, but you guys can still try the recipe, which I will be putting in the description. I start off with 2.5 cups of flour, and then I move on to 2 cups of sugar. For me, getting the sugar into the cup as full as possible was a little difficult, so I went with another measuring cup and tried to pour it in as much as I could and even it out as much as I was able to. Next, 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And then I go in with a pinch of salt, at least I try to. Is this enough? Is that too much? Realizing that my bowl that I'm currently using is too small to mix everything that I already have, I grab a bigger bowl and put all my dry ingredients in there. I later mix the wet ingredients into that smaller bowl that I was just using. Then you're going to go ahead and grab your milk in your measuring cup and just add about 1 cup of that milk. It can be any kind, I guess. I only used whole milk because it wasn't specified. And then you add 3 eggs into the bowl. I got my washed off lemons and I have to zest them with this thing, and it didn't honestly turn out that bad. You'll see. Oh yeah, this is 8 times speed, by the way, and I didn't get that much done. Look how much I've gotten done. So while video me is zesting this lemon, hi, how are you guys? How was your day today? And what do you guys plan on doing tomorrow? I went out to eat Korean while editing this video, and you know, it was very delicious. Please tell me your guys' favorite pastry or baked good dish, and I'd appreciate it if you guys would suggest what I make next, because you know, I'm still learning, so why not? But I want to keep it simple because again, I'm inexperienced. That is 1 lemon zested, I think. I'm not sure, but it's the best I can do. So I'm going to clean this off for the next lemon and just, you know, move on to the second one. Here's the 1.5 zested lemons that I did, because the other one that I zested was just a little too mushy for me. And then I gotta cut up the lemon in half because I needed, like, I think a 4th cup of lemon juice. And by the way, make sure you don't do this part with any open wounds or small cuts, because they will burn and they will itch. Or if you just have sensitive skin, because I didn't cut myself and the lemon juice was just burning my hands and making them itch so badly. Also, 1/4 cup of lemon juice is just 1 whole lemon. Now this part is optional. I add a half teaspoon of vanilla extract just because I wanted it to be a little more sweet, because it's lemon cake and we kind of like it a little sweet over here. At least I do, but that's what I did. And for this part, I've seen a lot of bakers do this where they add like a little bit of the dry ingredient into the wet ingredient and then mix it all together so that it's like some kind of consistency or somewhat fully mixed, so that when they add the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients, it's easier to mix. And it kind of was. My only issue was that I had too small of a whisk. I didn't have like a full-sized one. Like you can see my whole hand just holding on and barely touching like the edge of it. I grabbed the spatula that I have, which is the only one for like baking and kind of stuff like that, and then I mix the rest up and I kind of like fold it over and whatnot just to get it all, I guess, nice and even. And obviously you can see I scraped the sides off the bowl because we're not trying to waste these ingredients for something that's supposed to be delicious. This part is optional. I just used a hand mixer just because it seemed easier and I just wanted to get everything evenly mixed. And again, the whisk that I was using is too short and it was really hurting my hand. So I'm gonna do bake or and start. 350. You can't see that, but it says 350 degrees Fahrenheit on bake. Let me just stop you right there real quick and make sure this is evenly laid out, because I'm not making brownies and brownies don't even get up that high, so I'm going to just continue adding more. So this is the lemon cake batter in the pan, and the oven just got done heating up to where it needs to be, so I'm gonna put this in the oven. So here is it, it's done, and I already did, oh my god, why did it cave in on itself? I already did the test with the stick and it did really well. So now I just gotta see if I can cut out 2 circles that are even, and then I'm going to make some buttercream and then use the rest for cake pops. It's not this is like I rebaked the cake. It was still gooey in the middle and I wasn't able to use it, but I separated the good parts that were cooked and I was able to use into a separate bowl so I can make the cake pops. And then here I'm trying to make some buttercream. For me personally, every time I've tried to make buttercream, which this has only been the second time I've ever tried to make buttercream, it hasn't like tasted great. It just tastes very specific and very odd compared to like professional buttercream made stuff. It just has a very specific taste, and this one just tasted weird. But if any of you guys know any way that I could make my American buttercream, I think that was a recipe I used to make it taste better and not just, just not so weird, I would be very happy and I would appreciate that a lot. After I got done making the buttercream, I added some into the cake breading part of it because the main cake that I was going to use was not cooked. But I had these 2 tiny cake tin molds that I'm going to put the cake pop bread mix thing, I don't know how to say it, into there so it can be more of a cake shape. And then I left that in the freezer overnight because I was tired and it was late, but I let it like thaw out a little bit in the fridge so that it wouldn't be too hard for me to cut up and cut in general. This was the next morning, and here I'm about to cut like make it more flat. I'm about to cut the cake and make it more flat so that it can be more of a proper cake with some filling on the inside and a little bit on the outside, but I just put some on the top instead of all around because my mom doesn't like things being too sweet. And just so you know, everything I was doing here just felt so wrong using that to like pop it out, and I gave it a little taste test because I wanted to make sure it didn't taste too bad, but personally didn't seem too sweet, and I knew that my mom would like it even just a little bit. Yay, buttercream time. So it kind of lathered on somewhat smoothly. It was still a little difficult for me to work with because I've never lathered on some buttercream like that, especially homemade. Honestly, the cake didn't look that bad. It also didn't taste that bad. It just tasted really nice and doughy, but it was still cooked. Anyways, the recipe is going to be in the description. Thank you for watching. Bye!